Well, howdy YouTube family. It's Bolt CRNA coming to you again with another day's topic. Today we're getting into something that was actually inspired by a friend of mine, Rihanna Fariel. She has a YouTube channel and she just recently did a video about how much she made in the last year of her nursing or her CRNA career. I wanted to talk a little bit about the taxes because she also mentioned how much she paid in taxes versus her gross, and I realized that's very different from how much I paid in my taxes. So I wanted to get into the details of exactly how come I pay more in taxes and how much I actually pay in taxes and how much you might pay in taxes as a CRNA. So let's get into it. Now, first off, we have to understand that in 2020, it was a very weird year for a lot of us. I actually had 4 different jobs in 2020. I ended one full-time job and transitioned at the beginning of 2020 from a full-time position in a practice to the Bay Area. I actually took 6 weeks of time off in between being at my other full-time job and then starting my new job in the Bay Area. So there was 6 months of time where I was being credentialed at a hospital, which credentialing means the hospital gives you like the rights and authorities to practice as a medical practitioner in their hospital. And so it can take quite a long time, many months sometimes. So it took 6 weeks for that to go through at the facility, and I was not able to practice during that time. So that's 6 weeks that I just wasn't making any money. And then when I started actually 2 different hospitals at the same time, working part-time for both of them. And then COVID hit, the pandemic hit, everything kind of changed. And then I ended up only working at one of those practices for the next 4 months, and then I switched out and stopped working for that practice part-time and working for the other practice full-time and blah blah blah. So essentially what it boils down to is I had 4 different jobs in 2020. Tax year pay stub or whatever, what is this, W-2? Yeah, my W-2. I'm going to show you the W-2 of 2 of my 4 jobs. I'm not going to show you all 4 of them because that's really invasive and I think it's a little too much. You don't need to know exactly how much I paid to the dollar amount of taxes and exactly how much I earned in 2020. But I will show you 2 of the 4 jobs. They're both part-time jobs, and it'll at least give you a really good idea of how much of your money that you earn is going to be taken out in taxes. These are W-2, so this is not 1099, which means independent contractor. W-2 means that your employer pays about half of your tax burden for you. And so the amount you pay as a W-2 employee actually means you're only paying about half of that. They pay the other half. So yeah, let's get into 2 of my part-time jobs and exactly how much I earned in those jobs and then how much was taken out in taxes in them. Before we do that, I do need to tell you about my memberships on this channel. You should know I just changed some of the perks up around in there. The mock interviews that I offer is a little bit different now. It's on a different membership tier, and I am offering some member spotlights over there. So if you're interested in getting into CRNA school, you're interested in just getting behind the scenes exclusive videos, anything like that, join the membership. It's over there, guys. Click the membership tab. I'd love to see you over there. Let's get back to the content. Now, with me living in California, my state income taxes are gonna be probably a little bit higher than most other people's because California has the highest state income taxes out of all 50 states. So keep that in mind when we see our data here in a minute. My state, yeah, when you move to California, you kind of know you're gonna pay a little bit more just because you live in California. It's what we call the sunshine tax. The other thing to keep in mind is I file as single zero dependents. So that's going to change the way your taxes look. That was one reason that I believe Rihanna's taxes are pretty significantly less than mine, because she is married, and I actually don't know the details of how she files because she may choose to file single zero dependents anyway, but she has the option of filing married with a dependent. And so that will change how much the government decides to take from you because our system is broken and we choose to reward people for being married and having kids rather than just treating everyone equally, even if you're single without kids. So yeah, that's the system we live in. You're single without kids, you're gonna pay the most taxes because you need to be punished for being single without kids. Just know that if you happen to be married, you happen to have 3 or 4 kids, you happen to live in Pennsylvania or Alabama or something, your state income taxes and your tax burden will be a little different. Another aspect that I need to explain to you is, like I mentioned, I had 4 different jobs. These two that I'm going to show you were not full-time jobs. These are per diem jobs that I did part-time. One of the jobs I did about 4 months. The other job I did, I guess, about 3 months part-time. So I worked maybe, not even probably 30 hours a week at either of these jobs for a handful of months. So yeah, when you look at the salary, don't think like, oh my God, he's getting underpaid or whatever. It's me working part-time at a practice for a handful of months. It's not a year's salary. So now here is the documents. I don't really want, these are the corners of the documents. I'm gonna take a photo of these documents actually. That's smarter. I'm gonna take a photo and I'm going to black out the social security number and some of the private information like the actual employer I work for, because I don't mention that online. And in that way we could do this appropriately, where you can see the data you need to see but not the personal information that you don't need to see. But essentially, let's talk about this one job. So I worked here about 3.5 months part-time, and I made $59,103.37. So that's in the box 1 of your wages, tips, and other compensations on your W-2 there. That is pretty decent, I'd say, for a few months. But what is really shocking is when you look at the taxes that I paid on that. So my federal income tax withheld at this position for those handful of months was $12,025.70. The Social Security tax withheld was $3,664.41, and the Medicare tax withheld was $857. So the state income tax for the state of California for this job was $4,494.08. So let's do some quick math here and add that up, what all these taxes are. And some people, even including people I know in my personal life, have been like, oh, well, you can't count Social Security tax and Medicare tax. That's just money that's being held for you in an account for later when you turn 65 and you need it. Let's get real. I'm 33 years old. I will never see this money. These accounts are well known to be far overdrawn. They have been robbing Peter to pay Paul to even get the people who are currently 65 and older the money that they need for this. So I'm not going to see this money. This will be long gone. There probably will be no Social Security available when I'm 65 and older, and Medicare will probably be neutered down to like a subscription service or whatever for discounted drugs. I'm not going to see this money. This money's gone. So let's calculate up how much they're taking from me. All right, in case you are not a mathematician who did all that math in your head all of a sudden, the total for this one part-time job for a handful of months of what I paid in taxes was $21,040. Shocking, huh? That is shocking. And do you know how much I earned total for that job? Well, I already told you. It's $59,103. So 59,000 bucks is my total gross that I earned for that part-time job, and I paid 21,000 in taxes. And for those of you who are not mathematicians and couldn't do that really quickly in your head, that's about 35 to 36% taxes I paid on that one position for the handful of months that I worked there part-time. So, sucks. Let's talk about the next place. So the other part-time job that I worked at, I probably averaged, I don't know, like 30, maybe 35 hours some weeks at that job, and I did it for about 4 months or so. And I earned $93,269.63. So let's talk about how much taxes they took out. Federally, they took $19,277.95. Social Security tax withheld was $6,094.31, and Medicare tax withheld was $1,425.28. Almost makes you sick to your stomach. When you thought about going to CRNA school and you thought about working all those years so hard, paying $200,000 in debt for student loans and just really huffing it to do that career, and get out here and do a very difficult, stressful career that's rewarding, but also very difficult and stressful. And you think about, you get paid for that, and you think, oh, you're one day going to get rewarded pretty well. It's going to be financially worth it for you. I hope you're hearing these numbers and it's hitting you home where it hit me and where it hits me every day. Oh yeah, and I forgot state income tax. $7,425.90. So let's do the math on this for us non-mathematician people who can calculate this all in their head. Let's add it up here. This one, 14.5 plus 74 equals $34,221. That's how much I paid in taxes for one part-time job that I worked at for about 4.5 months. Let's find out the percentage on that. So $34,221, we're gonna divide that by 93,269, which is my total gross compensation. And we'll find out that's 36.6% taxes I paid. So yeah, I paid about 36% at the other part-time job. At this job, I paid about 36.6, maybe round up to 37% taxes. Long story short, I pay a ton in taxes. Let's add these two totals together. All right, so between these two part-time jobs, and remember, I had 2 other jobs that were worked in within the year, so this is definitely not the total I paid in taxes. But between these 2 part-time jobs that I worked at last year, I paid $55,261 in taxes. That's as much as I earned in my first year working overtime as an ICU nurse in Alabama. In fact, I think I made a little less than that. Well, all right, guys, that was my taxes, or portions of my taxes, and how much I pay in taxes as a CRNA, single zero dependents. Maybe you weren't prepared for that. Maybe that was a gut check. I don't know. Hopefully it gave you some information for the future. You can at least plan or understand that when you graduate, yeah, that gross income, that number that you're looking forward to sounds great, but they're gonna take a chunk out of that. There are ways around this, and maybe I will do another video where you can be more financially savvy, like with a 1099 independent contractor job or other certain things you can do that people will do. It takes a little bit of work, but I know people who do things so that they're not getting completely taken advantage of like this. But the majority of us end up in situations or practices and stuff like I'm in where you really don't have much wiggle room. You're like a W-2 employee and everything is just on the books, on paper, and you're just gonna get taxed to Brazilian and back. And the other thing that I wanted to point out with this is, remember, when you're talking about making more money and you want to earn more and you want to make like $400,000 a year and $600,000 a year, and look at the cardiologist who makes $700,000 a year, remember that is tracked income just like this is. So they're also going to be in these crazy tax brackets that pay a huge chunk of it goes out. So just remember, $600,000 income to me sounds like $300,000 in taxes they pay a year. So yeah, don't try and make your millions and make your wealth off of a W-2 income, because it's not going to happen. The government is going to take a huge chunk out of it, and the more that you earn on the W-2 income, the more they're going to take, and the more you're going to see slipping through your fingers. So you'd be much wiser to make $150,000 or $200,000 a year. Be wise with how you spend it, budget it properly for real estate investments, stock market, blah blah blah, and let those things build you wealth, and not try and make a bunch of money just through it. Don't try and work 55, 60 hours a week thinking that's going to make you your big money, because honestly it's just going to get taxed to hell and back, and you're going to pay so much in taxes that you're going to cry. So don't do that. And hopefully this information was helpful for you guys. I want to hear down below if this surprised you. Did you expect it to be this much? Some of you guys who went travel nursing during the pandemic and started earning like CRNA salaries, maybe you started seeing some of this. Actually, maybe not, because sometimes travel nurses get tax cuts and tax breaks in ways that they can kind of finagle their income so that it doesn't get taxed as high, so they may have actually done better. But yeah, I want to hear down from you guys below how this is for you. Make sure and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, go over to Instagram and TikTok, it's Bolt CRNA, and follow me over there. And until next time, guys, that's Bolt out.